Listen closely. The men and women who bent history to their will did not speak like ordinary people. Their words were forged in silence, sharpened by hardship, and delivered with a weight that made others stop and listen. They did not stumble through life, chained to every passing emotion. They spoke from a place of discipline, control, and clarity. That is what gave them power, and that is what we can learn from the philosophy of Stoicism. If you've ever wondered how Marcus Aurelius commanded armies and yet still sounded like a monk in the middle of war, or how Epictetus, born a slave, could outspeak emperors, the answer is the same. They mastered themselves first, and so their words carried the force of something greater than persuasion. They carried truth, grounded in self-control. Let's break this down. The language of restraint. The Stoics understood that words are not cheap. They're dangerous. Once spoken, they cannot be recalled, and once believed, they can direct the destiny of nations. Seneca wrote, "Better to trip with the feet than with the tongue." He knew what most people forget, that careless speech ruins alliances, relationships, even empires. We live in a time where the loudest voice often drowns out the wisest one. But the Stoic does not compete in volume. He competes in clarity. His words are precise, stripped of ornament, heavy with meaning. When we speak like this, we speak with authority, not because we force others to listen, but because we give them no reason to turn away. Silence before speech. Here's the thing. The top minds of history didn't rush to answer every question. They didn't mistake noise for influence. They were silent more often than they were heard. Socrates, though not a Stoic, yet admired by them, used questions rather than proclamations to reveal truth. Epictetus told his students to practice being silent, or at least speaking little. This isn't weakness, it's power. When we delay speech until our words are rooted in reason, we train others to trust what we say. Our silence makes the sound more valuable. Think of Marcus Aurelius. His meditations were not public speeches but private notes. Yet those words still command more authority than 1,000 fiery orators of his age. Why? Because every sentence was forged in the furnace of reflection. He spoke only when necessary, and never more than truth required. Conquering the inner tyrant. But let's not romanticize this. It's not just about speech techniques. It's about mastering the enemy within. Because if we cannot rule our own emotions, our words will betray us. Rage, envy, fear. These are the tyrants that corrupt our tongue before it even moves. The Stoics did not seek to kill emotion. They sought to rule it. Seneca warned against anger as a temporary madness. Epictetus taught that insults cannot harm us unless we grant them permission. And Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." To speak like the top minds of history, we must begin where they began, by strangling destructive emotion before it spills into speech. The uncontrolled tongue is simply the bodyguard of an undisciplined mind. The weight of words. Here's what this really means. Our speech must always be in service of truth and virtue, not flattery, not manipulation, not noise. The Stoics did not crave applause, they craved alignment between reason and action. That's why their words last. Epictetus, a crippled slave, left behind teachings that still shape leaders centuries later. His authority did not come from status, but from the integrity of his speech. He spoke from a place where philosophy and life were indistinguishable. Contrast this with the endless chatter of politicians and pretenders, forgotten within a generation. The difference is stark. When words are divorced from discipline, they rot. When they are fused with character, they endure. The dark fire of resilience. Now we cannot pretend this path is easy. Speaking like a Stoic requires a kind of darkness, a willingness to look suffering in the eye without trembling. When life breaks us, our words either become hollow complaints or unshakable proof of endurance. Cato the Younger chose the latter. He resisted tyranny not with rage, but with the steady fire of principle. His speeches against Caesar were not always successful politically, but they left behind a legacy of incorruptibility so powerful that even his enemies respected him. This is what it means to speak like the top minds of history. Your words become less about persuasion and more about testimony. They testify to your resilience, your refusal to be ruled by chaos. How we train ourselves. So how do we practice this? How do we actually start to speak with the power of history's greatest minds? 3 disciplines. 1. Pause before responding. When struck by insult or provocation, do not answer immediately. Let the silence sharpen your thought. Ask yourself, is this necessary? Is this aligned with reason? If not, remain silent. 2. Strip away ornament. Speak plainly. Remove exaggeration. Remove unnecessary words. If Marcus Aurelius could summarize the torment of human existence in a single line, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Then so can we. 3. Speak from principle, not emotion. If anger, fear, or pride is driving the tongue, clamp it shut. Speak only from what your reason approves. This training is brutal. It feels unnatural at first, but over time, the pause becomes strength, simplicity becomes clarity, and principle becomes authority. The unity of voice. And here's something deeper. When we learn to speak like this, we do more than discipline our own tongue. We contribute to something larger. Our words add weight to the eternal dialogue of humanity. Think about it. When we echo Epictetus by refusing to be insulted, we extend his wisdom into our century. When we steady ourselves with Marcus Aurelius's meditations before speaking, we keep alive the discipline of a Roman emperor in the modern world. We become part of that lineage, part of the chain of minds who shaped history not just with swords, but with words that outlived them. We are not alone in this struggle. Every time we choose reason over rage, we stand beside Seneca in the Senate, beside Cato in defiance, beside Marcus in the camp. Our voices, trained in the same discipline, carry their weight into the present. The final reminder. Let's end where the Stoics always began, with death. Every word we speak may be our last. Every conversation could be the final one. That is why they guarded their speech with such vigilance. Seneca put it bluntly, "As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters." The same is true of speech. It does not matter how much we say. It matters how true, how disciplined, how necessary each word is. So when we speak, let it be with the gravity of someone who knows the silence of death is always near. Let our words be few, but let them be worthy. Here's the truth. To speak like the top minds of history, we must become like them, not in fame, not in power, but in mastery of self. Our words are not just sounds, they are the reflection of the soul. If the soul is ruled by chaos, the words betray it. If the soul is ruled by reason, the words ignite the hearts of others. That is the Stoic way. That is how we too can learn to speak with the authority of the ages.